Sometimes I think it shouldn't be about politics, but about courage that we talk. A medic in Gaza, camera in hand, says a final prayer as bullets ricochet nearby. He's wearing high-vis gear. The ambulance lights are flashing. He's there to save lives, and moments later, his own ends. It's not a metaphor. It's not theatre. It's verifiable video footage filmed before he was buried in the sand with 14 others, paramedics, civil defence workers, a UN employee killed in an Israeli assault on clearly marked vehicles. The BBC has the footage. It's also completed and legally vetted and editorially signed off a documentary, Gaza, Medics Under Fire, yet it's been shelved indefinitely without explanation, and that is a moral failure. Worse, it seems to be complicity by omission. It's being accused of censorship. This film, produced by the award-winning Basement Films and backed by senior BBC journalists, was 15 months in the making. It features first-hand testimonies from Palestinian medics, some now dead, who recount the deliberate targeting of ambulances, torture in detention, the erasure of hospitals, the siege of hope. It was ready in February. It was cleared for broadcast. It was promised that it would go on air as soon as possible, and that promise has now been erased, literally. In the BBC's updated statement, the phrase "as soon as possible" is no longer present. What's left is a vague nod to an ongoing review of another film, Gaza, How to Survive a War Zone, withdrawn after revelations that its child narrator's father worked in Gaza's Hamas-run government. That parentage has become the alibi for suppressing an entirely separate piece of journalism. This is editorial cowardice draped in procedural formality. This is how the BBC works. If you put in an objection, a complaint to the BBC about the fact the BBC has stolen somebody else's material, or whatever that complaint might be, what you go through is delay and delay and delay and obfuscation, and in the end, nothing happens. The BBC has become practiced at evasion. Over 600 public figures, from Susan Sarandon to Miriam Margolyes, have condemned the BBC's decision. Their open letter is blistering. This is not editorial caution, it's political suppression. Indeed, for what kind of broadcaster confronted with allegations of war crimes against medics decides to go quiet? When every day this film is delayed, the BBC fails not only its audience but those whose testimony was given under fire, sometimes hours before death. Health workers who filmed the aftermaths of Rafah's convoy massacre, whose mobile phones documented more truth than any official press release, now languish in an editorial purgatory because their story is too sensitive for national broadcast. This is not neutrality, it is silence. If the BBC can't broadcast this, they can at least give it to Channel 4 so that they can do the job. The BBC is too frightened, too cowed, too controlled to do. International law is explicit. Medics are protected. Ambulances are not targets. Well, they are if you're the Kremlin, and they are if you're Netanyahu. And yet, over 500 health workers have been killed in Gaza, not caught in crossfire, deliberately fired upon, detained and tortured. The March 22nd attack near Rafah, in which 5 ambulances, a fire truck and a UN vehicle were struck, one by one, is among the clearest violations of the Geneva Conventions in recent history. BBC verifies forensic audio analysis confirms over 100 rounds fired at close range, some from just 12 metres. The Israeli account, inconsistent, self-contradictory and revised only after the video footage emerged. Their claim that 6 medics were terrorists remains unsubstantiated. Their excuse, operational failure. Their punishment, a single field officer dismissed, another reprimanded. It's obscene, and the BBC, once a global guardian of truth, is complicit in obscuring it. We shouldn't pretend that the BBC is unaware of the political sensitivities. It is, keenly. So keen, in fact, that senior executives have reportedly discussed adjusting story sex selection to win over Reform UK voters. Tim Davie, the Director General, may call this balance, but when that balance comes at the cost of truth, it is not balance, it is betrayal. The documentary's delay serves a government narrative, a government that speaks of humanitarian law while continuing arms exports for Israel's F-35 bombers, the very tools of destruction raining down on Gaza's hospitals. Foreign Secretary David Lammy speaks movingly of never again, yet in silent Yet he is silent on the enforced disappearance of Gaza's medics. Attorney General Richard Hermer defends international law in Chatham House speeches, while the UK's actions betray it daily. The BBC has been left tangled in the same web, one that mistakes deference for objectivity. And the moment is not about one broadcaster, it's about where the truth still has a place in public discourse, whether the lives of medics, those who run towards danger, are worthy of airtime, whether British journalism serves the people or panders to political nerves. The BBC must broadcast Gaza medics under fire, not because it will change policy, but because it will please critics. It won't please critics either, but because silence kills truth, and because the voice of a dying medic whispering, "Forgive me, Mum," deserves more than a dusty archive and a broken promise. Justice begins with testimony, and journalism must be its vessel. And if we fail that, and the BBC is failing that repeatedly, then what truly are we living for?